This is the District 2 Sports Podcast with your hosts, Gregory, Devin, and Big G, your voice for local sports in Southern Virginia. You can listen to this episode and hundreds of others on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us a like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
They're not in my top 12. They're not in my top 12. I told y'all. They're not.
Big G got his teams in and they all lost last week. So,
how did you get that? I got two teams in and one of them lost.
I need to throw one more shout out. I got a shout out to my little guy over there on the left, little Dev.
The spreadsheet is back out, and it's back.
Oh, you have one for basketball.
I got one for basketball.
Yes.
Really? You're not for Spurs? Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Whoa,
So now
man,
we're going hot now. It's going hot.
For anybody listening tonight, anybody paying attention, if y'all don't know, the mob is in the NFL.
Not a fan? Not a fan of the lo-fi?
That music was atrocious.
That was weak. I did not.
That was the first thing I wrote down. As soon as it started, I put, not crazy about this.
All right, so District 2 Sports Podcast. We're back in another episode today. Today we're joined by the head coach of the Carroll County Cavaliers football team, Coach Seth Greer. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I appreciate you covering our guys and giving us a look.
Well, Coach, we're trying to get around to the Southwest Virginia and those areas of influence. We love watching the highlights and seeing all the fans involved there. But I want to ask you, we just talked about this a little bit offline. The dead period ended on the 5th, I believe. What have you seen from your guys, and what are the numbers looking like there?
We have a great, everybody uses the word culture. We really do here. We don't have guys, we're not online posting like, hey, reminder workout starts. Our guys know when workouts are. We don't have attendance, no attendance issues. The only guys that miss are guys that are on scheduled vacations. They let us know ahead of time. So Monday, we just started back business as usual. We had nobody missing. We just come in Monday morning and got back to work. We didn't turn the throttle down any. The guys, I think they got some work done in the dead period, so we just kind of picked up where we left off and trying to get a little better every day.
Coach, I want to ask, max preps can be wrong a lot of times, but I thought I saw you guys graduated 15 last year. Are you guys, have you been able to fully replace those, or you have numbers coming up from JV, or how does that mean?
I think we graduated 12, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back. We returned about 7 or 8 guys on both sides of the ball that were starters. Yeah.
Nice. And how important is that for far as consistency goes, far as practice when you get to the season? These guys already know what's going on, know the playbooks and stuff like that.
I don't know if we know what's going on. If you looked at our last get together on the film, but no, we our guys we installed a new offense last year, something I'd always wanted to run, and year one we kind of got the culture right and how we wanted to do things. And year two we put the offense in we wanted to run. And so last year at this time, we were baby steps. We were kind of crawling before we walk, and we were installing, and we learned a lot early season last year. And right now, returning so many guys, we are light years ahead this time of year than where we were last year with terminology and understanding. And we're a system team, offensively, defensively. We want to stay within the same system. So another year in a system, our kids just are a little more comfortable, which is our biggest focal points right now with a lot of other teams of the same boat is depth. Build some depth and figure out what guys can help you and kind of where they need to be, which, a lot of times remains a question mark till hopefully not week 3 and 4, but, sometimes that's how it is. But so right now we're evaluating and trying to create some depth.
Coach, let me go back a couple years. This is your third year. I think we established that much, but, you go 5-6 your first year and then 9-3 last year. Just a couple of questions. I also noticed that you start off year one at 5-1, and then I think you win 5 out of your first 6 games. Actually, 4-0, and then lose one, and then go 5-1, and then lose your last 5.
Yes,
just
sir.
kind of curious coming back. Did you think you had it all in shape? Was everything prim and proper right off the get go? Did you think this is really easy? And then my second question.
I had the when I knew I wanted to be a head coach, I would try to go coach with guys that I could, that would mentor me, So I work with a couple of tremendous football coaches, and you learn a lot from them. And I'll be honest with you, scheduling wise and looking at teams, and establishing something. We were really working on building and trying to get better and getting, having an identity for Carroll County and how we do things on the day to day and the routine. And so we knew that, at the end of the year, that first year, our schedule got harder. We played some really good football teams and, each week it was, they were better and better and better. We knew that kind of the level of competition we'd see. And we were kind of honest about where we were as a program. So, I don't think anything year one, we had these expectations that, we were going to make this run. I think it was more about, can we get a little bit better next week and how we do things? And, we were still at the end of that year teaching culture, how we do this, how we carry ourselves. So I think there was a lot of, we were very realistic in year one of kind of where we were as a program and talked about building foundations for down the road.
Well, Coach, we know how tough that Three Rivers district is with Radford, Glenver, and Floyd, and we used to have Allegheny there as well. But going into your first year, but how, on the flip side of that, how important was it getting to that 5-1 start, knowing what you had at the back end of that schedule? As far as culture goes,
for a long time, Carroll County hadn't seen a lot of success on the football field, and just the kids understanding, how to compete and win football games and what that felt like to win for them younger guys and beat some teams they have never beaten a lot of them kids. I think that was vital. Just to kind of we're all looking for affirmation in this world that what we're doing is right. And when you talk to these kids, you take over a program and here's how we do things and here's, how we carry ourselves and how, we want to build. If you go out there and just lay an egg for the first 4 weeks, sometimes those kids may not buy in as much to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, it's important for a little bit of affirmation and buy-in.
I wanted to take it back. Oh, go ahead, Big G.
No, what I was going to ask him was, is anybody happier to see Brody Doyot leave than you, Coach?
Say again, sir.
My dogs are going crazy out here. We got some kind of alarm going on. I'm sorry. No, what I was going to say, Coach, is anybody more happier than you than to see Brody leave from over at Glenver?
Well, I think you can go down that district list and see a whole lot of people happy. He's got, I'm looking forward to following him in college, but I think there's a whole, I bet there's 9+ teams through that region and schedule that's pretty tickled, to be honest with you. Tremendous football players.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna take it way back. I'm gonna go back to getting into coaching. I saw a video where talking about veterans' voices, and you mentioned in that interview that you could have been in the military for 20 years if you wanted to go down that route, but you wanted to go a different route. Just kind of talk about your military service and getting out of that and pursuing football as well.
Yes, I joke with my kids all the time that I had 4 offers in high school, and they're like, "Where?" And I was like, "The Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force." They were beating my door down not to play football. I coming out of high school, young man, I knew college probably. I didn't know a whole lot about college then, and trying to find my way. And I knew the military lifestyle suited me all right. And I knew I probably wanted to go in law enforcement. I did 4 years active duty and it's one of them things where I loved it. My last deployment ended up getting, extended about 18 months, and that's a long time to not see. I had a very young son at the time. He was like 2 when I left, and I got back, and man, he wasn't the same kid and didn't know who I was. 18 months is a long time. You got young kids. And I thought, man, that's something I just don't know. So I went right into law enforcement. I thought, man, I'll do this till I retire. And I did just, the way life works out, I took a position here in Carroll. I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years into that. And in investigations, I stumbled into coaching my son's football team and then ended up in coaching some varsity football as an assistant. And long story short, I thought, man, this is kind of my thing and what I want to do. And I kind of shifted paths and found one that led me to getting kind of my dream job. I get to come home and be the head coach here. So, hopefully I can not get fired, for the next few years. Coaching's fickle, man, we all got that in the back of our head, but we joke about it all the time. But, I didn't know if I'd ever end up in this spot. Yeah. Here, I knew I wanted to be a head coach somewhere. It just, things fell the right direction.
I wanted to ask you about that. You're named the first Carroll County alumnus to take over that head football coaching job there. What does that opportunity mean to you personally? And is that something you put on your back and your shoulders to be like, hey, I got to carry this, I got to win here because I'm from here and played here in the past? I
want to give our kids something to be proud of. For a long time, it was down, and we talk about this in a lot of schools. And you guys, this, you cover a lot of football teams, programs that have seen years and years of being down. Their kids walk through the hallway and it's not like, hey, I play football. It's like, hey, you guys going to lose tonight? Or kids deal with that stuff. And, I think our ultimate goal was I wanted to give Carroll County, kids something to be proud of that they're a part of. I'm a builder. I don't want to bounce around. I don't have any high aspirations of going to the next level or this or that. I want to build something and pass it on to someone eventually and give them something to roll with that they can keep building on. So here was the ideal spot for me. This is home,
Well, I want to talk about your background as far as the military and state police goes. I mean, and how that translates to coaching. I mean, were there some non-negotiables that you had to talk about with your team when you took over there? Like, hey, these things that we're going to do, as far as discipline goes, and how's that transferred into the culture?
We do things a lot differently than most people. I don't necessarily coach like a teacher. I teach classes, but I treat these guys, almost like a young SWAT team. I treat them like young men, and there's give and take with that. Football's hard to get kids out for. So we don't roster 70 kids. I think our varsity team this year will be probably about 30 guys. Again, we call ourselves the Dirty 30, but they're 30 dudes that have not missed a day. We had zero missed practices last year on the varsity level. We didn't have a single kid miss a single practice. We're not flashy. We don't dance. We don't celebrate things. We don't have smoke machines. We do things kind of our way with a structure and discipline. Our offense is rooted in discipline. We're physical. We're quiet. We don't talk. We keep an eye on our kids' social media. We don't let them get stupid on there. You can get yourself hemmed up quick on there, and how we carry ourselves, how we want to represent our team is important to us. Our kids buy into that. I didn't have to hammer that in. I think a lot of people think of military background. I didn't have to come in here and yell and run these kids through boot camp. I think young men love structure. And, they like being tough, and they like having an identity rooted in that. So, we do things our way. I'm picky about a lot of things, but I'll be honest with you, our kids love it. One of the favorite things I hear is we'll see guys, teams acting foolish or doing things, and you hear our guys say, we don't do that stuff here. So.
Coach, do you call your offense the wing tee? Do you call it a wishbone or whatever? Because I know that it takes a lot of discipline to run that style of offense as well.
We have been called everything locally. I've heard we're the triple option. We're the wing tee. We're a power tee team. We're a Michigan power tee team. We do, like I said, it's a lot of people have some misconceptions of what we do. I love what we do. Our kids love what we do. We had 6 ball carriers last year over 500 yards. We had 2,000-yard carriers, and we had 4 other guys that had 500 yards plus carrying the football. We get to hand it off to about 6 guys a game. We rushed for over 4,000 yards last year.
Well, I don't want to say anything negative about Glenver's season last year, but I was able to watch the state championship game against Strasburg, and I saw a similar offense to what you run, and my God, what destruction it is. And it's just so hard to key on one ball carrier. I mean, much less 3. So, I commend you for your offense.
Our kids love it, man. They love the discipline of it. They can get really good at something. Ours is a little bit of physicality and deception, but it allows our guys to get good at something and feel really confident in something. Now, it takes some buy-in. A lot of people aren't willing to kind of jump off that because we don't go to other formations. We're not going to spend 50% of the time on that, and then we're going to jump into some gun and spread it out. We are 100% sold on that. So, I think sometimes, it's hard to take that gamble. But like I said, our kids bought in faster than I didn't have to sell it. Right, we did a little presentation for it. We come in PowerPoint. Here you go, guys. Here's what we are. Here's what we're going to do. I didn't have to do much talking.
Well, I watched that game and I'm sitting there going, wow, the splits on their line were so wide. And I was thinking, this is going to be easy pickings for Glenver. They're just going to shoot the gaps and whatever. And I've never seen anything work as mechanical as that. I think they had 3 running backs with over 100 yards. Even up to close to 150. And I believe their little quarterback almost had another 100. So like I said, is that something that you guys employ too with the wide splits?
We don't go a lot of wide splits athletically. If you got some guys that can move, we're not against that. And we play around with our splits some. But now they're huge. You're right. They're like 4-foot splits. They're way out there. I talked to those guys some, they have a little bit different philosophy than we do, but the formation itself, it keeps people balanced. You can't load one side of the formation, and that's why we do it. And we don't flip our line. We run both ways. We'll run left or right. But yeah, they've got something even more unique going on. It's pretty cool.
So if I'm scouting Carroll County, will Carroll County pass the football at all?
Yeah, like 17 times. No, we do. We do throw the football. We missed some wide open guys last year. We would have had even better. I think we threw for 11 touchdowns or something last year. Yes, to keep you honest, we will. This year we may do that a little more. We've added a wrinkle or two here. I think a lot of that's personnel wise, and we wanted to get good at what we do, but we absolutely will throw the ball. We like throwing out of it because, everybody has to play down in the box. So it's, but yeah, I'm not against it, but we like to say we're RPO. We're run power often. That's kind of what we are. We're an RPO offense. So.
Coach, I love it. I want to say this before Big G says it. He likes to say that I love the spread option, throw the ball into a flat, get out, speed and space and whatnot. But I've come to appreciate the power tee, the wing tee, whatever you want to call it, the option stuff. Just watching Navy and Army play too. So as I gotten older, I've learned to appreciate it.
Can you say that one more time?
I appreciate the wing. I appreciate running the ball. I do. I like watching it now.
Woo, Lord have mercy. It just took me 59 years to get this instilled into you.
I'm a Navy guy, and buddy, I don't miss a game either. I watch every Navy game, and I'm a huge fan of the option. They do a lot of.
Oh yeah,
they're a little less option, a little more wing tee, and some different concepts in there now. So it's cool.
Coach, this that first year, you guys, like I said, 5-1 in the season with 5 straight losses, but you make the playoffs. How much did that momentum, just making the playoffs, and for the perception of the program, carry into the next season? Because you guys go 9-3, and one of the cool things I was looking at, I think your first year you guys put just 6 points playing Glenver, Rafford, and Floyd. The next year you guys put up over 120 points against those 3 teams. So it just seems like things kind of clicked, and that experience, maybe that momentum from making the playoffs in that year one, kind of carried to that next season.
We didn't have a kid here that ever been in the playoffs. I mean, they hadn't been in the playoffs since 2011, I think, something like that. If you count the COVID year, our kids have never. We talk every year. We got a leadership committee, and we bring kids in. It's about 8 kids, sometimes less, sometimes more, and set goals. And they set team goals, and they liaison between the players and talk about their goals. And that was an expectation thing. Of now, when we talk to the kids every year, that's one of their team goals. Hey, we want to make the playoffs, and then they talk about different. Last year the guys preseason set a specific. I think it was like 5 goals, and they hit every one of them. They hit every one of their goals. So this year we did the same thing. We sit down with those guys and, hey, what's your goals? And, a lot of them sound similar. So that was one of those things of, that should be an expectation here, not a, man, I'm glad we got to do that and then back to the normal. So that, that was something that was important, I guess, to trying to talk to these guys about expectations and standards. So, and yeah, and the first year we messed around some with the pistol and trying to do what we could. And we were not good at it. It did not fit our personnel, and our kids had little football experience. Our guys did a lot of them. So I think that first year we only had like 5 seniors,
Coach, I just want to ask, I mean, in my opinion, I mean, it only goes so far, by the way, especially with Gregory and his brother Devin, but I feel like Class 3 and Class 4 are just 2 of the top classes in the state of Virginia, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, so much competition. And, you kind of hit on it a little bit before we started, hey, if you look at our last game film, you wouldn't think we knew how to play or would do it, whatever. But, you run into a buzzsaw. I mean, I saw that team play a couple times last year in Magna Vista, and, they were loaded. They were loaded. I mean, in my opinion, they were loaded. And I'll be honest with you, before the season or, before the playoffs, I had Magna Vista and Heritage playing for the state championship. So
we did too.
I mean, and no offense to you guys, but that's just the way I had seen them a couple times and knew what you guys were up against. So my big question is, have you pasted anything in anybody's locker yet about the Salem Stadium being the host for the state championship so that you guys can get there or have some motivation to get there?
No, we're the opposite. We're worried about Thursday. We lift again on Thursday. We're going to get together and do some stuff on Thursday. And we have a list on the board in here of 10 things that need fixed immediately. That's what we're at right now. We do it for our guys. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It may as well be the Super Bowl that week. Like it's do or die every day for us. And I know that sounds really cliche, but that's how we treat it with our guys. It's like, if we don't get better now, we're going to lose by 100 on Friday. Tuesday, maybe we lose by 80 if y'all don't. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. We talk about, we got to get better today. We talk about our district's good football. I think it's improved even. I think James River's made a huge leap. They're well coached. They're competitive. Patrick County's a much better football team than their record was last year. There's a lot of teams in our district that, Floyd County's a good football team. But the problem is, you get out of our district and our playoffs, we're 3A football teams. So then we go into the daggone, into our region, with Lord Botetourt and Bird and Magna Vista and all them guys. So I think our region's some of the best football in Virginia, period. There's some guys there that do a tremendous job, and they've got talent and they're well coached. Magna Vista, Coach Favero there, he does a heck of a job. So not only are they loaded with these talent and athletes and they work hard, but man, they're well coached. So, for us, we talk about, if we want to make the playoffs, we have to spend every minute we can just getting better to compete with those teams. Because it only goes uphill. We talk about, climbing a mountain. We'll never get to the top of that, man. Every day's a climb for us. So I think our entire year is how much better can we be by week 10 than week 1 so that we can face a team, that much caliber, that high caliber football.
Coach, I'm talking about we talked about the Three Rivers being really good with, Floyd, Glenver, Rafferty, talking about James River getting better. Out of district, you seem like you want to, challenge your guys as well. You play against Grayson counties who've had a lot of success there in Class 1, made it to a state championship game, I think, 2 years ago, maybe wrong about that. But Christiansburg has also been good over the years too. Galax, we all know what's going on there. They won a state championship, and I guess depth and just other issues kind of happened to them. But you guys seem to want to be challenged outside of the district as well. Is that something you do intentionally, or is that already something planned before you got there?
That's intentional. We're trying to work on it even more in the next coming years as we rotate through. Trying to, I think, not this year, the next year. I think we've got somebody like Botetourt added to the schedule, and we're not going to get better and be able to compete in our region. How do I put this? We got to play great competition. We open up scrimmage in Magna Vista and Bassett. That's our 2 scrimmages this year. I think Tunstall's in there too with us. We're hoping to keep it the same. We want to see those guys because we don't feel like we get better, scheduling somebody that maybe is a smaller school, that's rebuilding or something, trying to dance around that. But let's be honest, we want to play as good a competition as possible because that's the only thing that makes you better. We want to test ourselves. We'll test it early. It's a long season. And, getting better early is important, but, so that's it was huge. Luckily, we got Christiansburg on the schedule when I got here. I think our week 1 game, my first year was Grundy, who now no longer exists, and nothing against Grundy's, good program, but numbers wise, we should be playing somebody, within our region. So we were really lucky to pick up Christiansburg, and we like the idea of opening up the season with a challenge and playing a good football team. So we want the challenge, and try to get better and meet that challenge.
Coach, you're very humble, and I can see that by the way you're talking, but I know that you can make a statement when you want to. I just feel it deep down in my bones. But what is the misconception about the Carroll County program, first and foremost, and then what makes you guys the hidden gem?
Misconception, we talk about this within our locker room, and I keep a lot within our locker room. That's how we are. We're close to the vest. I talk to our guys all the time about the most elite forces in the world, right? You don't hear the SEALs, you don't hear Recon, you don't hear Rangers, you don't hear the Green Berets, you don't hear them talking a lot about what they do. I'm not saying we're anything like that, but we like to keep things to us. And we talk about all the time, we are still and forever will be, for the foreseeable future, we're the underdog, We don't get much publicity. Nobody talks about us much, and we kind of like that, I think people still look at us as us, Carroll County. They'll be up. They were up last year. They graduated guys. They'll be back to Carroll. And we talk about that. We haven't earned anyone's respect yet. And we have a little bit of chip on our shoulder, and 2, kids help us. Every school's got these daggone social media pages and stuff, and they love talking about other schools. And we don't care to post that up. We don't care to post it up, pin it up. We talk about, everybody wants to put everything they're doing online. If you notice the programs that are hard to deal with, that are just perennially, this traditionally good and great every year, you don't see them talking a lot. We don't hear a lot out of Grayson. We don't hear a lot out of Glenver. You know what I mean? We don't hear a lot of those teams, and that's because we know they're in the garage working. So we talk about, hey, we still have earned zero respect from anybody. And that's kind of how we go into every game. It's like, we'll eventually earn some respect, but it ain't today yet. We're going to try to. What makes us a hidden gem is, our kids are getting better at what they do. Everybody says they're working hard, and I believe in their mind they are. But, I think we work as hard as anybody. We have nobody missing. Our strength and conditioning program, we're proud of it, proud of how we do that. But our kids, I don't have to ask the kids, and I don't have much question about over the dead period if they were working out. I don't send messages, hey guys, make sure you're working out. Hey, I didn't do any of that. I don't have to do that because I know they are. I give you an example. Christmas Eve morning, we have a Christmas Eve lift. We come in and we rip the sleeves out of Christmas sweaters. My wife makes like a 12-foot table of cookies, right? We crank up jingle bells and bench press. We probably got 40 dudes in here lifting on Christmas Eve morning. We do a turkey day lift, so you eat all the Thanksgiving you want. So on Thanksgiving morning, we come in here and man, we pump steel and eat. We eat a little bit of breakfast afterwards. So we'll have another 40 guys in there on Thanksgiving morning one lift. I don't make them. I just say, hey, the doors are open if you want to hang out and lift some weights that morning. Come on, and they that's part of who we are and part of our culture. So I think that's what's cool, about our guys is we're close knit like that.
Coach, you mentioned that those guys had never won or have never made the playoffs. That first year you guys played Abilene and get the loss, but the second season you guys make it again. You get that first win over Northside in the playoffs. How big was that for those guys who had never made it, lost, and get that first playoff win too?
It's affirmation. I think it's the third or fourth victory, I think, playoff victory Carroll County's ever had. It affirmed what the guys were working for. It was a goal of theirs. They wanted a home playoff game. They wanted to win one, and they checked that off the box. It's affirmation that for what they worked for. It gave them something to be proud of. It just all the things we talked about. It was just, hey, how we do things here, you can be successful. And this is the roadmap for us and what works best for us and how we're going to do things. And it's just kind of one of them with the kids. It's like, hey, this works, So, I more than anything, I'd love to see our kids rewarded for how hard they work, and that was a cool moment to see them kind of, feel that. So, and then, but, we talk about that, but, it's like, hey, but Monday, we're back to work. We got to get back to work next week. So.
Coach, talking about this season, I'm always kind of scared to ask this question just because, you never know what the high school transfer portal looks like as well now these days, right? Under the table there. But just about your roster here, I think you returned Dalton, Gravely, Roten, another guy I saw as well. What players need to step up and, how much we rely on these guys returning?
We returned our entire offensive line and our tight end. We played two tights. So, we got a guy stepping in to play tight end that played tailback for us last year. Our tailbacks are fullbacks. I love it because I'm a huge Mike Allstott fan, old school fullbacks, right? So our offense actually has two fullbacks. We just call them tailbacks. So we took one of those guys. He stepped up to play tight end named Dane Leonard. He's working his tail off trying to get better at becoming a tight end. We got our best, one of our best football players come back. He's one of our guys we trust a lot offensively, defensively, Aiden Dickerson, and he plays tailback for us and outside linebacker. He's a guy we feel like can play at the next level. We're trying to get him recruited and his name out there because I think he's a hidden gem in that world. But man, our heartbeats up front with our offensive, defensive lines. We've got some competitions at linebacker. We lost a really good middle linebacker. He's a real cerebral football player that can line us up. So we got guys working hard, trying to battle it out, see who's going to be that guy. But our heart and soul's up front. We got a right tackle, man. He's a monster. He's about 6'3", 345, and he's the kind of guy that exhausts himself in practice every rep he goes so hard. So he's our right tackle, Foster Frazier. He's a rising junior. So he's going to get to play a lot of football, has played, started every game last year. So the cohesion of up front, man, that's kind of our thing is those linemen up front. We give out helmet stickers, but we only do for unselfish things. We don't ever award touchdowns or anything like that. We got one called a War Daddy sticker. We'll give out who we think are War Daddies, man. And we talk about the, military history and, those guys in World War II. But our guys battled out for stuff like that. So our starting seven up front, that's who we're going to lean on. And a lot of those guys were district and region players last year and got some accolades in that. So we joke about we can hand the football to anybody if they're doing their job. I like our skill guys, but those guys up front, man, they get a lot of respect here.
Coach, I know that you can be a hard, tough person just because of the military background and discipline and stuff. But I also noticed, and I was really curious if you might be able to speak upon this. If not, it's okay. But I understand that you were able to give away to a special person a autographed football jersey. And, if you could just speak upon that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Alan Worrell has been with the Carroll News here for years. Man, he's a Carroll County guy. Like, he is a diehard. He means a lot in our community. You know, a guy that was at our games. And what I loved about Alan, if you ever read any of his newspaper articles, that guy never speaks badly of Carroll County kids. You know, it's really easy, I think, and you guys see it. It's really easy in the sports reporting world and stuff to nitpick and, you know, to pick out mistakes that players make. And I mean, we all do it with professionals, right? And you watch professionals that are in their 30s or, you know, 20s, and they're doing it at the highest level in the world, and they make mistakes. You know, we're asking 15, 16, you know, sometimes 14-year-olds to go out here and make these split second decisions, and they're going to mess up, you know. And Alan I never seen him speak negatively of the coaches, the players. And, you know, some of those years were 1-9 teams, you know, and he was positive, and he's special guy to us, and our kids, you know, recognize that. We recognize that. We try to take care of people, you know, that take care of us, you know. So,
Coach, you know, District 2 is going to have to attend a Carroll County game this year. So, you know, I ain't begging, but I mean, I think it would look nice if we were on the sideline, maybe wearing a Cavalier jersey. I mean,
you're more than welcome, gentlemen. Yeah, come on down. We do that. We do a military appreciation game. It's cool. We wear camo jerseys, and we had last year the National Guard down on the sideline with us. And you gentlemen are more than welcome. Come see how we do things. We're proud of how we do things. There's not many secrets here. You know, our sidelines are cool. You don't hear a lot of vulgarity. You don't hear a lot of, you don't see frantic, but yeah, you're more than welcome. Come out. We'd love to have you. Carroll, you know, we got new stands last year, new stadium, and then, man, they started to fill them, and it's exciting. It got electric by the end of the year, and it's a fun place to be. But yeah, we would love to have you. Love to come down here. Southwest Virginia's got some good football.
Well,
you know,
I think we would look good in like some of those old jerseys that you might have around for practice with some tears in it and some rips. I think it would look great on the sideline.
Hey, we practice in no number 1980s mesh jerseys. And if I had it my way, we would wear those to games with marker drew numbers on. We are not there to look pretty. That's not what we do. We got new jerseys last year because ours were falling apart. But if we had our way, we'd look like 1984. I'm going to see if we can bring the neck roll back, to be honest, in the full cage. Our kids would eat that up, you know. So, yeah, we got plenty of those around.
That's awesome. Coach, I want to talk about the schedule for this year. I mean, if you're a Carroll County fan, I hope you're in the stands this season because you guys have a heck of a home schedule. You got Christiansburg at home. You know, Galac's still going through those troubles. Hopefully they got some depth there to kind of, you know, bring some kids around, but they usually travel pretty well. Fort Chiswell, Glenver, Floyd, and Radford all at home. Talk about that home schedule a little bit.
Well, last year we were the road warriors, man. We were 4 home and 6 away last year. So this is kind of the reward of that. You know, next year I'm sure we'll be back to 5-5. But yeah, we're the road dogs last year. So this is our reward for. We also have a home benefit game with Bassett. So we've got 7 home events. I think our kids are taking that into account. You know, we're fired up about it, talking about, you know, building and teaching people what we're about. But our schedule's tough. I mean, it's tough, and we know that. But I'll be honest, we wouldn't have it any other way. You know, so that you know, we Carroll County's we want to compete in the district and try to get ourselves aligned to where maybe we have a shot at the top of that thing. But you know, that's an uphill climb. So, but if you look at our schedule, there's no easy weeks when you get on through there. When you get that second half of the season and on, you know, you start looking at depth and injuries and how healthy you are and you know, what do we need to fit? So that's the fun part of it in our world. We really do enjoy the grind of it.
All right, Coach, we got to get to something very important. Gregory's going to have the ultimate question for you in just a few minutes. But, you know, District 2 just so happens to have a top 12 every week. Does Carroll County make it this year? I mean, we got to get you guys in there somehow, some way. Do you make it this year?
Well, I think that's our job. You know, we have the capability of doing that. I don't doubt our kids' work ethic. You know, I think we can contend at a high level, but we're going to worry about Thursday, and then we're going to worry about Monday. And when season starts, we can tune those down a little bit finer. So,
Coach, if you go back to the live streams, I think you might see that I try to advocate for you guys being that top 12. I think I got shot down by the other 2 guys. So I just want to put that out there. Maybe
we don't get any respect. We don't get any respect.
I agree. I agree.
Wow. I mean, just throw me under the bus right now, right? I got you.
I'll be honest.
I will change.
Go ahead.
No, change is inevitable for me this year. I'm going to be very light and lenient this year. I'm going to look at it through, through my own lenses now, not through rose-colored glasses. So we'll be fine. I think Carroll County starts out in the top 12. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it.
It's so funny. We hear everything. We're not losing a bunch of them hillbillies and stuff like that. So we've heard it all. We're the consummate underdog. So that's fine.
Coach, last one for me. Carroll County football will be successful this year if they do what?
If they do what we do, we want to be good at what we do. Can you imagine how many football games you could win if you were the best team in the state of Virginia at running one play? Let's say we were the best at running power. If you can run power, which is if you were the best team in the state at running power, how successful can you be? We talk about that all the time. So how good can we get at what we do? We don't like people to dictate our terms. No one in this world wants someone to dictate how they live their life. That's kind of the part of living in this country and being free, right? So we don't want people to dictate how we play football. We want to be really good at what we do, and we like to dictate how we play football. So that's us. We will be successful if we do what we do. We're really good at what we do. So,
last question from me, Coach, and probably the most important: where do we take Coach Greer out for dinner, for lunch, or in Carroll County to pick his brain?
There's a lot of good places to eat around here. I'm not a corporate guy. We got a lot of places that are locally owned. All jokes aside, with the twang in my voice, we got a place up here called Earl's Diner that's really good. So it's a mom and pop home owned place. So that's it. We got a lot of there's some good places to eat here. So and I'm a fan of food. So anywhere I got some, we can throw a rock and hit from this school. To be honest with you,
That's awesome. Cool, Coach. It's been a pleasure having you on here, just getting to know you. Thank you for your military service. I can tell that you really care about Carroll County and what that program's going to be doing here in the future. BG, you have something to say?
No, I was just going to tell him thank you for his service. I mean, we never give as much appreciation as we should for those who have served our country. So we really deeply appreciate it. And, just going a step further, I'm a big proponent of the public school system. So, Coach, I thank you for sticking with that public school and your lifelong, admiration for your institution there. So we look forward to many years of success out of you guys. Look forward to covering you guys more often.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you having me. The last thing I'll say, you bring that up, and I'm not trying to overtalk. I actually got to go run another lift. I joke with our defensive coordinator here is also our head baseball coach, and he does a hell of a job. Our baseball program is really good. But I joke with him all the time. What I love about football is in the world of, especially public school, in the world of sports today, there's a lot of travel ball. There's a lot of travel ball and AAU and this and that.
Yep.
And I just feel like football in Southwest Virginia is still a place where if you're from the trailer park or you're from the part of town that may not be economically thriving, you can still put on a helmet. You can come out here and pump some steel, work hard for us. We'll provide everything, buddy. There's no travel ball to it. If you'll show up here, you got an opportunity to play and be successful and be proud of something. So that's what I love about football, man, is that we can take guys from anywhere. And if you're willing to work, you can be you if you'll be with us. We can move forward. So, for our community, I'm just glad we can offer that to them. So, but you guys are more welcome anytime down here. Holler at me. Come on down, see how we do things. It ain't for everybody, but it's for us.
I love that.
We thank you to the nth degree, Coach. Appreciate your invitation as well.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Coach Seth Greer there at Carroll County. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.